Hello everyone, Spiritual Bookworm here. I'm here this week to speak about Reiki. Now what is Reiki? Well, Reiki is a form of Japanese energy healing that is used for stress reduction and also to help with relaxation as well as both emotional and physical healing. The word Reiki comes from two Japanese words. The first, Rei, which means higher power, and Ki, which means life force energy. So that might give you some sort of indication of how it works. It's based on your 7 chakras, which are your crown chakra for spirituality, your third eye chakra, psychic ability, throat chakra, which is used for expression and verbal communication, your heart chakra, which is of course love, your solar plexus, which is more based on emotions and feeling, your sacral, which is sexual, and your root chakra, which is your will to live, basically. If you need more of an in-depth description of what your different chakras are, or at least the 7 main ones, I can make another video on that if you'd like. Just leave me a comment to let me know what you want, and I can always do it. Now, my experiences with Reiki have been interesting to say the least. I've gone twice. The first time was about 4 years ago. I went with my sister, and it was interesting. It wasn't really that exciting. I just kind of laid there and closed my eyes. I think I actually fell asleep at one point, and she just kind of was moving around me in different parts of my body. She didn't touch me. The interesting thing, though, is that at some points it felt like she was touching me, even though I knew that she wasn't. So that was weird. She told me at the time, after it was done, because during the whole situation everything's silent, but after it was done she told me that there was something wrong with my throat chakra and my solar plexus, but I didn't really know what that meant because she didn't really explain it, and I was young, and I didn't feel anything afterwards, so it really didn't matter that much to me because I kind of was like, meh, whatever. Fast forward to about almost 2 months ago, maybe a month and a half, I was getting a massage done because I have lower back pain, so I frequently get deep tissue massages. Anyway, my massage therapist is also a Reiki practitioner, which I knew, but I had never asked her about it until that day. I said, oh, my sister is interested, which she was interested at the time, and I wanted to know, her price schedule and kind of what we would need to do. And she told me, and I scheduled an appointment for my sister. She went. She had such a great experience, which I will speak about in a moment. And she told me I really needed to go. Well, I went, and it was a completely different experience. Basically, I laid down, and she did touch me. But first, she used a pendulum to test my different chakras, and I wasn't really paying that much attention because I was still thinking about the previous time I had done it and not thinking this was really going to be any different. After she did the pendulum, she told me, all of your chakras are blocked, not moving, not spinning, because that's the important part. You want your chakras to be spinning and releasing energy, but not too much, but just the right amount. So you're thinking of the baby bear in Goldilocks with your chakras, just right. Anyway, she told me all blocked, not moving. She basically said I was a wall. I was an emotional wall, which was kind of true because I had gone through a traumatic experience. At this point, it's been about 4.5 years since that happened, and I just kind of shut myself off. However, she did say the 2 chakras she spent that needed the most time and energy that she spent the majority of the time working on were, interestingly enough, my throat chakra and my solar plexus, which the previous practitioner had told me were my biggest trouble spots. So, I thought that was weird. Anyway, I spent the whole session speaking with her. When we were working on my throat, she put her hands on my throat and she asked me to tell her about my experiences, and I did. And as I did, I kind of felt more free, less inhibited. And then, she kind of did my heart. It wasn't that hard, though, for her to do my root chakra or my crown or my third eye or my heart. They just kind of were just good to go after she just did a little bit of tweaking. But my throat and my solar plexus, as I said, were a lot of work. So, sorry, I just hit the microphone. So ignore that. Anyway, when she did my solar plexus, she put her hands on my stomach and she basically asked me about how I felt when certain things happened, etc., etc., etc. And it brought back the feelings, but at the same time it helped me to work through the feelings. And the best part about this was, instead of just fixing my energy without me having any sort of input, I was part of the process and I was working through the energy with her. So for me, I obviously preferred the second type versus the first kind where I just laid there. However, I did ask a Reiki master which was better or preferred or whatever, and he basically told me it didn't matter. Both were great, both worked fine. It is whatever the personal preference of the client is. So in my case, I prefer the second, but some people may prefer the first. So there you go. Now my sister, on the other hand, the first time we went to get Reiki done, she'd gone a couple times to this lady, and the reason that she was going was because she had broken out in hives. So she had found the Reiki practitioner online. So she went and she was starting to see some recovery, but not as much as she had hoped. And then the time that I went for the first time with the laying down and not doing anything and all of that, she actually started to see people around her that weren't there. So she freaked out at the time. And also immediately after it was done, her hives got worse. So she stopped Reiki because she got scared. I'd get scared too if I had that experience, but my experience was obviously different than hers. So fast forward to, again, this same practitioner that I went to more recently. She went to her first after I'd gotten my massage, and her experience was very similar to mine. She, placed her hands on places that needed to be, but my sister wasn't completely closed. She was, I think, 90% closed, but a couple of them were spinning, which is good. So we fixed that. My sister actually cried, which is significant because she very rarely cries. So having such an emotional thing happen while her energy was being fixed was great for her and very cleansing. So afterwards, both of us, over the past 6 weeks, have improved drastically emotionally and physically. I no longer have any back pain. My sister doesn't have any back pain, which I didn't mention, but she did have back pain. And we both just have a greater sense of well-being. I'm much happier. I guess I was depressed before, but I never knew. That is the thing. The biggest issue that I have had is that I found out I was angry for 4 years, but I didn't know because I was so angry for so long that I didn't feel it anymore. I didn't really feel anything other than anger. So now after having Reiki done, I just feel so much happier, so much more at peace, so much calmer. So that's great, right? So that's my experience and my sister's experience. Now, here's the part that some of you might be most interested in. Scientific evidence. Well, the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine has done 3 different articles on the subject. In fact, they've done more. I just didn't have time to grab them all. And other journals have as well. I just happen to have access to the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine, so don't blame me there. You can do your own research on Reiki and see what you find. But 3 articles stood out to me, very importantly. The first was done in 2006. It was a study done on E. coli bacteria that had been heat shocked and therefore was not growing at its normal rate. It was slowed down. So what they did was they had a control group that had no Reiki treatment, and they had obviously the experiment group that was treated with Reiki. They actually did the experiment twice. The first time they did the experiment, there was not a significant difference because the Reiki healer just went in and was trying to heal just the bacteria. So it's kind of hard to heal bacteria because bacteria doesn't have chakras, it's just bacteria. It is a living organism though, so it can have an effect. The second time they did the experiment, they had the Reiki practitioners heal someone first, so do a Reiki session, and then come in and work with the bacteria. This time when they did it, the bacteria that was treated with the Reiki had significantly increased. Had significantly increased amounts of multiplication versus the untreated bacteria, which the multiplication was still stunted. So that's very interesting that it made the bacteria grow much more rapidly after they had healed someone, so they still had the healing energy going and they were able to focus it on the bacteria. So they healed the bacteria in essence. Now, the second study that I have researched was done on rats in 2009. Now you're wondering, rats, what could they do? Well, they took some noise, let me back up. They took some rats that were stressed by noise. So therefore they had an elevated heart rate. So they had a group of rats that had no Reiki treatment, a group of rats that had real Reiki treatment, and a group that had fake Reiki treatment. And what did they find? The rats that were treated with the real Reiki treatment, and only the real Reiki treatment, experienced a significant decrease in their heart rate to that of a normal level. The other two groups, both untreated and treated with fake Reiki, did not have the same sort of effects, and in fact still had elevated heart rates. I think that's incredibly interesting, and it does show at least the relaxation of Reiki, of what it gives to someone. Because if you don't believe in the healing portion of it, it at least gives you relaxation, which is shown by the rats. However, if you are interested to know if Reiki can heal, this is the interesting study that was done. In 2006, again, in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine, they did a study on adults that had mild cognitive disability and also mild Alzheimer's. They, again, had a group that had real Reiki and a group that a group that had real Reiki and a group that had fake Reiki. Well, what did they find? The group that was treated with the real Reiki had significant increases in cognitive abilities, which is incredibly awesome because the group that obviously didn't have the real Reiki did not have the same effect. So that can show that by working with them and healing them with the energy, they were able to increase and maintain the cognitive development of these individuals who had lost so much. So even if you don't 100% believe in Reiki, these studies should at least give you an idea of what is possible, and I encourage you to do your own research to see what you find. Now, should you try Reiki? Well, I think you should, because it has helped me so much, and it has helped my sister, her friends, my friends. It's just something that can give you so much. Even if you don't think that there's something wrong, there might be something that could be just holding you back a little bit. It could be as simple as, just something that happened in your childhood that can be healed in one moment and change who you are as an adult today. If you heal it, you could take a risk that you weren't going to take before. So, it's great. Now, my only recommendation when it comes to getting Reiki performed on you is to choose your practitioner wisely. I'm not saying that there are those out there that are wrong and those out there that are right. What I'm saying is choose the one that is right for you. Like I said, for me, I preferred the one where she spoke with me and we talked, and I was there to work through the energy and to have her making physical contact with my chakras. However, one where you're not touched and you're just laying there and just allow the Reiki practitioner to do whatever, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. So just, do research and find who you think is right for you. If you're interested, however, I am going to be learning Reiki in the next week, actually. And once I learn, I will be available to perform Reiki on anyone who wants in the Southern California area. So just keep that in mind and contact me if you're interested. So I guess that is all for this week. Next week, I will be bringing on my sister, the Space Queen, and we will be discussing movies and media, spirituality, and both of those. So, hopefully you have a great week, and I will see you next Monday. Have a great weekend.